Okay, today we are going to talk about logical word order for your ACT test prep. This is on page 7 of your Kaplan book. Now, logical word order, it just means that you make your sentences that are clear and easy to understand that avoid confusion. This is in sentences where you have an object or the subject of the sentence and some description that is describing the object. Let's look at the first 3 examples, the correct examples, on page 7. Christine, could you read the first one for me?
Yeah. Shiny and bright, the car looked almost new after it was washed.
Now, does that sentence make sense or does it seem confusing to you?
It makes sense.
What is shiny and bright?
The car.
The car, exactly. I'm going to read the second sentence now. Matthew denied the rumor that he had fallen asleep during the test. What about that one? Does that seem to make sense?
Yeah.
What had Matthew fallen asleep during?
The test.
Exactly. As you can see in the bolded font in your book, had fallen asleep during is the descriptive phrase that's describing what happened during the test that Matthew took.
Okay.
Now for the third example, I'll read it. After they are developed, potential ACT questions are reviewed by teams of people looking for inconsistencies and biased questions. What were the things that were developed?
The questions, so that's the subject?
Questions are the subject, the potential ACT questions, and they're being described by the phrase
After they're developed.
exactly.
Okay.
Good. Let's move on to the wrong examples. Can you read the first one, please?
I saw the book on the desk that I had borrowed from the library.
Now, does that make sense, or are you a bit confused?
Did you borrow the book or the desk?
Exactly. The way the sentence is currently written, it seems that you borrowed the desk from the library, not the book. Let's look at the second wrong example. Designed for small children, Ed had to stoop to reach the water fountain. Does that make sense? No, not really. From reading that sentence the way it's written, what do you think was designed for small children? Ed. But clearly, what do you think the sentence meant to say?
I think they meant to say the water fountain was designed for small children.
Exactly. After looking at these right and wrong examples, the lesson here is that the description should be placed closest to the object they're describing in the sentence. Let's look back over the first 3 right examples. As you can see, the bolded font that has the description and the object, it's all right next to each other. It's continuous. Shiny and bright, the car. That's all right next to each other. Now let's look at that first wrong example. The book is the object, and that I had borrowed from the library is the descriptive phrase. Those 2 things are not closely together in the sentence. That's the problem there. Same with that second wrong example. As you can see, the phrase designed for small children is way at the beginning of the sentence, and the subject, the water fountain, is at the end. It's that separation that causes the confusion. Let's look at the 2 exercises at the bottom. Can you read the first one, please?
Smoking an It's a Boy cigar, the baby was admired by Grandpa.
I have it written here as well. What do you think about that one? Do you think it's clear, easy to understand, or is there some sort of problem?
Sounds like the baby's smoking the cigar.
Exactly. That is the problem. Smoking an It's a Boy cigar is the descriptive phrase.
Okay.
But what do we think is the real subject of the sentence? Probably not the baby that's smoking the cigar.
Is it the baby?
No, not the baby. I think this phrase is referring
Oh, Grandpa.
to Grandpa. That's right. Can you think of a way we could possibly reorder this sentence to make its meaning clearer?
The baby was admired by Grandpa, who was smoking an It's a Boy cigar.
Exactly. That would be a good way to do it. The baby was admired by Grandpa, who was smoking an It's a Boy cigar. Or it could be, let's see, what's another way to do it? Smoking an It's a Boy cigar, Grandpa admired the baby.
Yeah, that's easier.
So that way would place Grandpa here, directly next to the descriptive phrase.
Okay.
And as we said, we want to make sure that those 2 things are closest together in the sentence. That's what ensures that the meaning is clear.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Let's check in with this sentence. Can you read it out loud?
Gary and Martha sat in the restaurant talking about the movie they saw.
What do you think about this one? Do you think there's a problem with logical word ordering, or does it make sense the way it is?
It kind of makes sense what it is.
I agree. I think it's fine. Our subject is Gary and Martha. And what do you think is the phrase that's describing them?
Talking about the movie they saw.
No.
Sat in the restaurant.
Sat in the restaurant.
Because it's right next to it.
It's right next to it. And talking about the movie is the action in the sentence. That's what's happening. That's what the sentence is trying to tell us. This is describing the situation. They're sitting in the restaurant.
Okay.
Any questions?
No, I think I got it.
So just remember, with logical word ordering, if you'll know when you see it. You knew with this sentence that something was wrong because they couldn't possibly mean that the baby was smoking the cigar.
Yeah.
So it's a problem that'll jump right out and you'll see it on the test. And then you have to figure out a way to fix it, and one way to do that is by making sure that the subject and the descriptive phrase are close together.